Yeah, so today I thought I would talk about the planetary grids and how they affect us. So I want to start off by saying my last video was about the aliens, the alien agenda. So I thought I would expand a little bit and give you a little bit more information, just a little bit at a time, so it doesn't overwhelm people. And plus, I constantly am getting new downloads from the Pleiadian brothers and sisters, of which I am connected to. But I wanted to tell you about an incident that will kind of put things into perspective. Something that happened quite some time ago. It happened around the year of 1973, which is a very tumultuous year. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of big changes going on. Basically, it was the end of the 60s and 70s that is basically labeled as the 60s. A lot of stuff went on back then, a lot of revolutionary stuff, a lot of stuff with the AIM movement, American Indian movement, of which I am a member, and a lot of stuff like the standoff at Wounded Knee, and just a lot of other protests all over the place were happening, and a lot of awakening was going on, a lot of insight. But something else was going on at the same time that people had no idea what was happening, and that was the star brothers from the planet Sirius. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible so you can understand it. The star brothers from the planet Sirius, the Syrians, not the ones over in the Middle East. I'm talking about the extraterrestrial variety. They were noticing back in 1973, as were other members of the Galactic Federation, they were noticing and they got wind of something that was happening in the cosmos that was going to affect the Earth in a big, big way. And so this event, this incident that was going to affect the Earth, had to do with the sun. And the sun has been known to have huge explosions, shall we say, or eruptions, explosions, CMEs, coronal mass ejections, sunstorms, solar storms. So back then, they noted that these highly advanced, highly intelligent alien beings noted that the Earth was in jeopardy. Let's see if I can adjust this a little. There we go. The Earth was in jeopardy because there was going to be a huge expansion, shall we say. There was going to be almost like an orgasmic event of the sun expanding out, and it was and the shock waves or the waves were going to hit the Earth, and there was no way that the Earth would ever survive that, or the people on the planet. There was no way that it could be. And so the Syrians, or the people from the star system of Sirius, they decided that they were going to try to save the planet somehow. And so they went to the Galactic Federation. And the Galactic Federation had big discussions about what was going on with the planet Earth. And they were basically to the point where they were saying, they were throwing up their proverbial hands and just saying, doesn't look like we're going to be able to do anything about it. But the Syrians came along and they were very much into technology and very much into different kind of advanced technological devices. And what they did is they decided to try to save the planet Earth. And so their idea was to put a protective grid around the planet. And I'm not completely informed as to how this was done or that the intricacies of the technology. All I know is that they put a grid around the Earth that actually protected the ionosphere and the planet and all the people on the Earth. But in order to do that, they had to take away the free will of man for a short time, and they also had to create almost like a virtual reality, almost like a planet on another planet, or a planet within a planet, or something of that nature. Now, you've often heard me say the delusion within the illusion, talking about AI. And even I didn't realize to the extent, because like I say, I'm constantly getting downloads, constantly getting new information. I didn't realize to the extent, yes, I was, when I said the illusion within the delusion or the delusion within the illusion, I was referring to the illusion known as Maya, or what the Hindus call reality, Maya, meaning that it's just nothing but energy and a play of light, and that's all it is. So what the Syrians did is they put this grid around the planet and almost created like a virtual reality or a planet, upon a planet or a duplication of the planet, but um, this duplication provided a protective shield. So what happened is that they went ahead and tried this experiment. They didn't know if it was going to work or if it wasn't going to work. They were just hoping for the best. Well, actually, it did work because the sun had this massive extension, came out, and then it withdrew, right? And this happens in solar systems. It's been happening for millions of years, off and on. You'll have maybe a complete extinction event, or at least a cataclysmic event, or something that happens in a solar system, a galaxy, a solar system. So to continue on, back then in the 60s and early 70s, people were feeling things that were different. Couldn't put their finger on it, but there definitely was a transition going on. It all makes sense. And so while this protective grid was placed around the Earth and the sun did its thing, the Earth was protected. But there's something that happened at that particular time that they didn't expect to happen when they created this little experiment. And good thing they did, because we wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't be here. So something happened with this event, like I say, that was unexpected. And what was unexpected was, you got to put two and two together here, people. What was unexpected was the fact that mankind started evolving at an incredible pace with this technological, just the evolution of mankind, something they had never even figured on. And so that's why you see right around that particular time period after the 70s, if you look at technological advances, which I always talk about, then you see how far we've come in a short period of time. I mean, we went into the stuff like, man, back then, I think we had still dial phones, right? Landlines. But from there, it went boop over to the flip phone, and then uh, technology and computers getting smaller, and the shit just was happening at warp speed. And instead of, if you liken it, let's say a metaphor, let's say a woman is pregnant and she has a child, and the baby comes out, and 15 minutes later, the baby is a full-grown man or woman. I mean, that's how fast, that's a metaphor for how fast technology started advancing. I mean, almost like a time machine, you know. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Time Machine, Orson Welles or H.G. Wells, where he gets in the time machine and he's looking at these dials in front of him and they got numbers on them. And the faster he pushes the little gear, the further he pushes the little gear, the thing starts spinning like that. And you know, years start going by and millenniums. And well, that's kind of the effect that we're in right now. We're in a time machine, an evolution, the evolutionary process of man, and the technology is going 10,000 miles a minute here. And it's increasing. And so supposedly at that time, some of the ascended masters and let's make a point of this too. At that time, the whole Galactic Federation, I mean the Pleiadians, the Syrians, the Arcturians, the Venusians, all these did, the Draconians, the Dracos, they all were watching to see, because the Earth at that time was the center point, and whatever happened to the Earth was going to actually affect the rest of the cosmic universe, or at least in this galaxy. And so people were these different alien beings were very interested in what was going on. And when they saw that this evolutionary process started advancing so quickly, and then the ascended masters that were on the earth at the time decided that they had to leave. They were going to leave at that particular time because the enlightenment and the advancement in the evolutionary process was going so fast. They just had to go whoa and just kick back and take a break. And so also at this time, up until that time, there were all kinds of predictions, let's say prophecies, and I'm talking biblical and all kinds of prophecies, Nostradamus, Edgar Casey, all kinds of things were predicted, even the Mayan prophecy coming up. The reason that these prophecies didn't come true when they had always came true before, like Edgar Casey was 99.99% on it. Nostradamus, I think, had about an 85% prophecy rate, or whatever you want to, percentage. But after that event happened, a lot of these prophecies didn't happen anymore because nobody could tell the future after that. That's another thing that happened um, at the same time. That the future was being harder and harder to predict. In fact, nobody can predict the future. Now, as all these events were happening, and that's why a lot of religions that predicted the end and this and Armageddon and rapture and all that stuff, that went right out the window, because that actually had no bearing on the case anyway. So at this time, supposedly, the creative source that we call mind, that I call mind, because that's a Hermetic principle, the mind, the all. We are in the all is in us. The all is what put everything into motion. One of the seven, the first of the seven Hermetic principles is called mentalism. The creator is none other than a divine emanation, as I have said before, a divine energy, a divine being, whatever you want to call it, that thought things into existence. Now, at this particular time, since the Syrians went down and messed with our grid, then that's when supposedly, I've gotten information that this was the first time that, quote unquote, God or the creator or the mind, which is way beyond the biblical concepts here. I want to tell you that right now. It's way beyond anything you would ever know about God. Okay. Getting a little darker out there. Getting a few clouds out here in the desert. Man, there's been some extreme weather here. That's another thing. So this is the first time in the history of, let's say, the planet, because we'll reference it from our point of reference, that the creative source decided to take apart, because take a part in an active part in man's events on Earth or goings on or future or whatever. And so we're in a situation right now, and this just confirms everything I ever thought or anything I ever said. We're actually in a kind of an AI, an artificial intelligence, or let's say a fused energy or a fused grid around the planet that was a protective grid that has caused the evolution to speed up. And now things are quickening and quickening and quickening. That's why we see, again, the advancement in technological advances are just off the charts. And I talked in my last video about how there's, all kinds of UFO technology from this planet and other planets, and but this planet just went and just shot forward. Incidentally, just as a side note, remember I was talking about the alien invasion and how they could trump up something and make it look real and stuff like this. Well, not a day or two after I said that, I was perusing the YouTube, and what should pop up but about, I think it was in January, and then again, let's see, it was maybe a month or 2 months ago, maybe a month ago, both on Fox News and on Australia's Sky News, huge networks. They were showing, and I'm sure you've seen it. You might have seen it if you've not. And he was even on Tucker Carlson. They were showing triangular shaped aircraft, like I was talking about in my last video, that either we have or that the from reverse engineering, or that the aliens, the Star Brothers, have. It showed them surrounding a ship. Actual footage. They were actually. This was actually on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, and it was on Sky News in Australia. Same guy was on there, and he had gotten hold of some classified, not deeply classified, but semi-classified footage of several of the, and they were clear as a bell. And what was I talking about in my last video? So anyway, a little bit off subject there, but not really, because the alien agenda, or the aliens, or the extraterrestrials, have their fingers in this somehow. Yes, God has taken a part now, or the creative force. And again, it's not like the God that people think in the Bible. It's almost like let's liken this to, let's say, everybody on the planet are little motors, or little televisions, or little eyes. Everybody, all mankind, each one, and they're all plugged in to a big source, a generator. Liken it to a generator, or liken it to the main camera, and all of us are little cameras, or liken it to the ocean, and we're little drops in the ocean. Billions of points of light emanating from one source, and all varied and all unique, and all capable on different levels. And so we have all these different levels of Star Brothers, aliens, extraterrestrials. We have them all over the place. And these are also part of the original creation. Has nothing to do with Adam and Eve and the Bible, and that's all fairy tales, pretty much. It's actually, it's a metaphor for stuff that they got from the ancient Sumerian scrolls, which talk about what really happened way back then. I've gone into that, so I don't need to go into it. Refer to my previous videos. So there we have it. And so what we are in right now is a process of the evolution of the planet being sped up to warp speed. Because if that hadn't happened with the Syrian thing putting the grid around the planet, we'd still be plodding along. Let's say that the sun didn't interfere with the planet. Just from an evolutionary perspective, we'd still be plodding along in the dark ages. We'd still be cranking the telephones and stuff like that. And I remember, and I've said this before, when I was flying in Hawaii, and I had to fly out to this place called the French frigate Shoals, which was basically out where the Lemurian continent sunk. We used GPS. It was this big, and had to put it on the panel of the aircraft. Now it's little tiny chips the size of a head of a pin, or maybe a little bit bigger, in your cell phones and everywhere. So that's how fast technology. That was probably about 1985, 84, 85, 86, when I was there in Hawaii, and using technology that was nowhere near what has become today. So this technology is a two-edged sword, and so what you have these people on the planet that could use technology for good things, or they could use technology for bad things. Well, what is the predisposition of man? He tends to use advancements in technology for the detriment of man, not for the good of man, or to control man, or to uh, I don't know, manipulate, control populations, mind control, MK Ultra, whatever. And even back in the 30s, they had pretty good advanced technology. So you can imagine what happened. I mean, they had things like the Philadelphia experiment where they made ships disappear. Of course, that was a disaster because men got embedded in the walls of the ship and were in agony and died. So they don't give a shit about their little experiments that they do here on the planet. But see, the point I'm trying to make here is that it's all connected, it's all going at warp speed. Whatever we're seeing today with the insanity that surrounds us, with the, shall I say, planned events that are surrounding us on all kinds of levels, all kinds, not just medical, but all kinds of levels. And there'll be more coming. So basically, this video will help you understand as to why we're in the situation we're in. Now, however, if the fact is true, or if it's true and it's a fact that the creative emanation, which is basically non-personal, has never been involved in anything, never in the history of the world, the cosmos, works things out basically through emanations, has a master plan or whatever. And this master plan is something you'll never figure out. You'll never figure out what this master plan is. It's too deep. But one thing for sure, it's it's actually kind of a good feeling to know that the energy or the thought or the intelligence that created us is watching and is taking a part now. So what's to worry about? Is there anything to worry about? You see all this crazy stuff happening with governments right now imposing their wills on people, and they do it. They do it through. We all know how they do it. I don't even have to tell you. It surrounds us today. We know how. We all know how they like to subjugate, lock down, um, give orders to, uh, control people, require people to do dumb shit things. We all know what they're doing, and we all know the chaos that is surrounding us now. Well, why is that chaos? Why are they doing what they're doing? Is it just to have a one world government, or is there something else going on? Whatever the case, I feel that their time is short. Feel that their time is short because, and I feel that somehow they know that their time is short, and so they're trying to get their licks in while they can. They're trying to prove something that to themselves, as far as setting themselves up as gods, and setting themselves up as the master planners of what's supposedly going on the earth, or the master builders, or whatever they want to call themselves. I got another master for them. We won't mention that. That's what they really are. It's mental masturbation. It's a power trip. And it could be involved, like I said before, with one side or the other of this alien extraterrestrial presence that has been on this planet for years and always will be. Do I have all the pieces of the puzzle? Do I know everything that is going on? I get downloads, and no, I don't know everything that's going on. I only give you information that I receive. There's also other grids on the planet that I talked about before, the Christ consciousness grid. And did you know that there's a grid for every insect and microbe and person and cow and dog? And there's a grid for everything that's on this earth, and it's so tiny. It's like a little tiny, silky microfiber type grid, way beyond anything you could ever see, for everything that's on this planet, and it surrounds the planet. So again, that's what's happening, people. And now you got added to the mix. You got people, the SpaceX and Elon Musk sending up these satellites. You got a secret space force. You got a secret Air Force, Space Force run by joint commands from different military structures, Air Force, Navy, stuff like that. There's all kinds of things going on, and these satellites that they're shooting up have, in my mind, they're creating a grid. Now, what is this grid for? What is this grid for? Is it to project another kind of virtual reality? Is it to try to fix something that they've fucked up with the original grid that the Syrians put on? Is it, I don't know. Is it something that is put up there because of possible catastrophic events like asteroids coming to the Earth? I would bet that whatever it is not really for the good of mankind. Has it ever been? Have they ever really used technology for the good of mankind? In medicine or cars or aircraft or anything, appliances? It's all used to manipulate, man. It's all used for some kind of agenda. They never, I mean, Tesla, take for example Tesla and his technology. That could have been used supremely for the good of mankind because he had free energy for everybody on the planet and everything on the planet. Well, they stole that technology from him after his death. What happened to that? What happened to the fact that back when they were turning out Model T Fords and stuff, they came upon a little bit later on. They came upon a development that would make engines last virtually forever with Teflon coating on the inside and stuff like that, and Teflon wheel bearings where you could push a car and it would go for a mile without stopping on flat ground, or let's put it this way, a long distance. Excuse me. That's what happens when I talk continually. My throat gets really dry. That's probably a sign for me to end this video. That's what I'm going to do. So keep these things in mind. I'll tell you the weather out here where I'm at in Nevada, in the middle of the desert, near Vegas. Pretty nice little area, little valley. It's, but the weather here lately, and that's another thing, man, before I end this video, that's another thing they're manipulating is the weather. There's no doubt about it. The weather is so freaky. You'll have one day where it's 88 degrees, and then the next day a big wind will come in, and then it'll drop down to like 70, and then it'll go down to 60, and then it'll jump back up in 2 days to 85 or 90. High winds, almost hurricane force, 50 knot, 55 knot winds. Never used to be this way when I was a kid. And I lived in the desert all my life. Well, no, I lived in the desert the first part of my life, and then I lived on the coast for a long, long, long time. Okay, people, I'll leave it there. Some food for thought. Don't sweat the small shit. All this stuff that's going on the planet right now, it's going to end because this warp speed evolution in the quickening and the fact that the mind, the mental, the master has stepped in. Probably to get rid of the original darkness that it created. That's what I'm thinking. Because God or the Creator created darkness just as well as light. Okay. And even in the Bible, it says that God created Satan, the devil. Wow. What a concept, huh? Let's create evil and dark, except there is no such thing as dark, good and evil. It's dark and light. It's all in how you look at it, people. You can't have the dark without the light and light without the dark. But the master plan or the creative eminence might be wanting at this time to raise everybody's consciousness above duality and see how that works out. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. I'm ready for it. All right, I'll leave it there, people. Thanks for watching. And if you want to donate something to my help pay the bills here, internet and all that stuff, spiritofcrazyhorse.com, spiritofcrazyhorse, all one word.com. There's a donate button on there. You can go there and make a donation like you would if I was on Super Chat or something here, because I won't monetize on YouTube. In fact, I'm looking forward to the day when the new platforms come out. Mike Lindell's platform. He's having a hell of a time. He's being attacked pretty strongly. Anybody that tries to put up a new platform is going to be attacked because they took over the internet a long time ago. They have complete control over the internet, and anybody that, and they, I mean the dark ones. So anybody that tries to do a new platform that can't be censored, they're going to attack big time. Anyway, I'm out of here, people. Adios. Have a good one, and don't buy into the bullshit that they're trying to lay on you about all the, you know what, little hint there, and all the bullshit about this here, What do they call it? The jab. What a weird word. I got a jab for you. Anyway, adios.